Well, I started off in 1993 in the 2.5 liter. Drove a couple of years in the 2.5 liter, and then graduated into the 5 liter. Won a few championships in the 2.5 liter, then went up to the 5 liter, and I was fortunate enough to win in the championship in my first 2 years in the 5 liter. I stayed in that class forever until I got a chance to drive in the unlimited lights in Valleyfield in 2002, if I'm not mistaken. Got a chance to drive in Tri-Cities in Seattle that year. Won in Tri-Cities in my first ever final in the unlimited lights. And then I drove for Charlie Wiggins for a few years. Drove maybe 2 weekends a year in the unlimited lights for Charlie Wiggins. Surprised everyone and won the Nationals in Valleyfield in 2003 in that boat. And then in 2007, Joe Franheim asked me, and Phil Bonancini had asked me to drive the UL 72, the Budweiser pocket mechanic boat with Kaylee Perkins. Kaylee was a rookie that year, and they just wanted an experienced driver to be around. So we shared the driving during that year, and had a ton of fun in that series. It was really a cool experience. Got to race in San Diego for the first time that year, and we won the championship. So and then after that, 2008, I started in Grand Prix. Drove the Crush, Newport, Tom Baker and Mike Andres and Todd Roush. They were 4 owners. Had a great time, great experience, learned a lot from them in the Grand Prix class. And then I took a 2-year break, 2010, 2011. I was just at that time where I needed a break from boat racing. Came back in 2012, had this crazy idea of becoming an owner in Grand Prix. Something not to do if you're a blue-collar worker. But anyways, had a ton of fun. We finished 3rd in the championship in 2012, won Team of the Year, was nominated Driver of the Year. So we had a great year. Went in 2013 in my 2nd year as an owner. That year was an amazing year. We won the championship that year, only in our 2nd year. We proved that a small budget team, if things were done right and if things were invested in the right place, that we could win. We won the championship, nominated Driver of the Year, Crew Chief of the Year. We won everything that year. Perseverance of the Year award. So, and then I realized my dream. I won in the Grand Prix class. I sold everything at the right time. And then went back into the Hydro 350, but had the privilege of driving for Mike Rendell in the Bad Influence racing team, and we just had a ton of fun in that class. Unfortunately, never won the championship. Finished 2nd twice, but was fortunate enough to go out west and win the U.S. Nationals in that class. Met a ton of great people and. 2 years ago, I applied. I sent my application in to Dave Bardish because I was hearing rumors that he wanted to take out 2 boats, and I got some help from Bert Henderson, with regards to references and all, and was qualified last year in Unlimited, and hopefully this year we'll be racing the U10 in a few races. It was unbelievable, simply because, first of all, I was nervous joining the U17. Felt a little intimidated, Dave, and the team, but I met him for the first time all in Guntersville, and they made me feel at home, extremely professional. Can't say enough about the H1 family as well. All the officials and all, they made me feel welcome. So it was unbelievable. I got to know Dave which, I was intimidated at first, but once you get to know him, he's an extremely nice man. The whole team is unbelievable. The race courses are like, the hospitality in Guntersville was unbelievable. Fortunately for me, the race course was, when the first time I went out, it was mirror water. So got a great experience driving that. And I just got to live. 2019 for me was everything was new. I got to first time in Madison, the Mystique course. Then I got to go out west. I had so many positive thoughts about Tri Cities and Seattle, and going back there just confirmed the memories I had, which was, you know, wow. The people know that what they're talking about in Tri Cities. They know they're racing. And the race fans, like, you think Valleyfield's big, but you go out west, you go Madison, and you realize that, hey, there's 75 to 100,000 people around this lake as well. So it was jaw dropping. In San Diego, well, San Diego was beautiful race course, beautiful city. So aside from that, the areas racing in an unlimited was jaw dropping with regards to the speeds you can attain, and the cornering, the G forces with regards to going around a corner. So it was quite the experience. I hope I need to gain more experience, that's for sure, to optimize my driving for this summer. Um, what blew me away was just simple, driving in Guntersville the first time out was really the top speeds we could attain. We race in the limited classes and the Grand Prix classes. We race on a 1 mile course, so you end up hitting 140 miles an hour on the straightaway and going around a tight corner. You lose a lot of speeds, in limited classes. What I noticed in the unlimited is, I kept looking at the tack. That's the only thing I was looking at on the straightaway. Yes, I was looking where I was going, but I kept looking at the tack, and I kept going, okay, 178, 179, 180, 181. It's like, oh my God, I'm going that fast. So, and then just going around the corner and tweaking it around the corner, and it was just so smooth. It was just unbelievably smooth. I couldn't believe how smooth an unlimited, how heavy and how smooth it was going around the corner. And even if you were, later on that year, even if you were hitting waves, in Tri Cities, it can get rough in the corners while we were testing. There were 4 or 5 boats out there. It was just going around the corner and just going over those waves as if they weren't there. So that's what impressed me the most about an unlimited last year. The U10's coming along pretty good. I know that the whole team's been working on it. The people from Detroit have been working on it. Bill, Bob has gone a few times. Bill has been working on it with Dave. Alex, Rachel has been there as well. I mean, everybody's been putting their hands in the boat, and the engine's been put in, the gearbox, everything's been put in, everything's been set, fit to fit, like, perfectly. Then we took everything back out. We put the boat upside down. We made sure that everything was straight. Everything was fine. Brought it back right side up, and made sure now it's being taped. And because of the quarantine, well, nobody's been working on it, but it should be painted once everybody's able to go back to the shop and work on it. Well, it's simply our goal is to get the boat out there this year. And simply for me, as a goal, as a driver, is simply to, get back to knowing all the courses. I haven't raced in some of them. Study the courses, study the competitors, and just get some experience in driving an unlimited. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, it's a different way to drive a boat versus a Grand Prix to an unlimited. Boat's much heavier, much faster, uh, but then again has a lot less torque than a Grand Prix would have going around a corner. So all I want to do is learn, get some experience, learn how to drive a boat with a foot pedal wing as well. It's new for me with regards to that, and just perfect my driving over the course of the summer. And as a team, we want to be competitive. We want to go out there and we want to be competitive and hope for the best. You mean when I was young? Well, when I was young, my first boat memory was, my dad, the Haworth family has been in racing for over 50 years. But I mean, my first boat racing memory was when my dad had his own boat. And, I think I was 14 or 15 years old, and he let me try his boat for the first time. That's the most cherished memory I have of that. You're driving a boat, you're sitting in a boat where the cockpit goes up to your waist and you're all in the air. And I mean, your knees are sticking out of the cockpit practically. Though that's the memory the best memory I have with regards to, driving a boat. And, but I'll never, the memories of every year our family going to the Valleyfield Regattas, that will always remain engraved. Where the families, it's a family thing, eh? So you're around the lake, you're watching the races, and you're watching the Grand Prix. You're watching your childhood idols go around the corner, and you're just dreaming that one day you'll be there. So, yep, those are my memories. Unlimited. My first we being on the East Coast, we didn't see unlimited very often. So, if I found out about unlimiteds was through magazines, boating magazines and stuff like that. It's not like today. So my first ever real memory would be Detroit in the early '90s when my dad was crew chief on the Grand Prix, the Export A Grand Prix, and we went to Detroit for the first time. And the first time I saw the Unlimiteds go around that Rooster Tail corner, it was again jaw dropping, and watching Mark Tate go around that Rooster Tail corner, and being about 10, 15 feet away from that cement wall coming off the corner, and it was like, these guys are crazy. That was my first memory. Of all time? Wow, good question. My God, I had so many. If you'd have seen my room when I was young, all the posters I had. Of all time, I mean, when I was young, I used to love the Lauterback boats. So I'd have to say, when I was young, J.P. Lassard in the limited classes was, and Robert Thera were childhood idols because they drove Lauterbacks. So those were my two favorite drivers. And then when the cab overs came over, well, there was Tom Baker in the limited classes, Mike Andres, which were doing things with cab overs in those days, which weren't too stable. So those guys were also my childhood idols, and stick out. And in an unlimited, Steve David and Mark Tate were our two that stick out that we were following because they had raced in the limited classes, and those are people that we saw on specific weekends. So we followed specifically those two drivers, what they did in the unlimiteds. But I mean, it was Larry Lauterback that as much as when I was young as when he drove unlimited. there, like we say, there wasn't any social media, so we followed the people that were on the East Coast that we saw on the East Coast. But today, when you see all the great drivers that went through Unlimited, Chip Hanauer, Dave Ilwalk, just to name a few, what they did, what you see today, the videos you guys post and stuff like that with regards to classics. I mean, wow, there was a lot of good drivers. Oh well, I mean, just being in the Unlimited is I was happy, but driving a former like the last summer, driving a former Miss Budweiser, I actually have a poster of that boat in my dad's garage that we've had for forever that I had brought back. So, I mean, it was an amazing feeling, and that's one of the first things when I talk to people, race fans in this area, which they ask me, "What was your experience?" I'm always proud to say that the first ever boat I got into was a former Miss Budweiser. So it's part of my conversation when people ask me the experience of driving an Unlimited. I'm always proud to say that I sat in, that was one of my first boats that I've ever driven as a former Miss Budweiser. Yeah, well, it's something that if you want to know the story, I brought Skipbo a game of cards to our trip in the Tri Cities, and we started playing Skipbo. We were actually playing Skipbo every night, and we started having tournaments, Skipbo tournaments, and it's got to be on the agenda. And we had bets going on, and Bert's wife got into it, which she was beating us pretty much all the time, unfortunately. So. No, we had a lot of fun with regards to Skipbo. We even brought it to San Diego, and let's hurry up and we'll play Skipbo after the races. And it was like, oh my god! So we've become Skipbo freaks, and we keep joking about it. We can't wait for the boat racing seasons to start to play at night. After the races. So it's it was a funny thing. Yeah.